Welcome into episode 17 of Directed by Steven Spielberg. There's currently 34 films in Spielberg's entire filmography, which means today's episode marks the halfway mark on this journey throughout his career. The film in focus for today is a lesser-known Spielberg film, the 1997 historical drama Amistad. It boasts an all-star cast including Anthony Hopkins, Morgan Freeman, Matthew McConaughey, and Djimon Hounsou. With this film, it marks the third time in Spielberg's career that he would direct two films in the 1 year, the other 1997 entry being The Lost World Jurassic Park. I had never seen Amistad before prior to making this video, and I knew nothing about it whatsoever. So what did I think of it? Let's find out. Amistad tells the powerful true story of a group of Mende captives who revolted aboard the Spanish slave ship La Amistad in 1839. The film opens with the captives, led by Cinque, breaking free from their chains and seizing control of the ship, killing most of the crew. Their aim is to sail back to Africa, but they are deceived by the remaining Spanish crew who navigate towards the United States. The ship is intercepted by the US Navy and the Africans are imprisoned, facing charges of murder and piracy. The legal battle that ensues becomes a focal point of the film. The Spanish government demands the return of the ship and the captives, while American abolitionists led by lawyer Roger Sherman Baldwin and former President John Quincy Adams fight for the Africans' freedom, arguing that they were illegally captured and had the right to resist. The case becomes a significant legal and moral battle, reaching the US Supreme Court. Adams, in a powerful speech, appeals to the justices' sense of justice and humanity, emphasizing the natural right of all people to be free. The court ultimately rules in favor of the Africans, recognizing that they were illegally enslaved and should be returned to their homeland. The film concludes with the Africans' journey back to Sierra Leone, whilst also highlighting the broader implications of the case on the fight against slavery in America. The end. Here's the deal. I can appreciate that Amistad is a well-executed film with great performances and powerful themes. I just find myself not having too much to say about it from the Spielberg perspective, particularly when I compare it with Spielberg's far superior historical epics such as Schindler's List and Empire of the Sun. Amistad deals with the very important subject matter of black oppression in America, but doesn't quite hit the levels of emotion in The Color Purple. As a result, the overall feeling towards Amistad is that it's a very middle-of-the-road Spielberg film. Good, but not great. There are Spielbergian traits to the film, particularly with lighting. The use of silhouettes and Spielberg lights are effective in evoking both positive and negative emotions in their respective scenes. The courtroom scenes in particular show rays of light through the surrounding windows to create that sense of justice and freedom that the American court system is meant to represent. The best example of this is also the best scene of the film, and that is the John Adams speech to the Supreme Court. The theme of Amistad in simplest terms is freedom, and it contrasts this against the tenets of the American Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and how Cinque represents this exact failure of this mantra at that point in American history. It's a simple yet effective theme that unfortunately doesn't really expand upon the basic framing of the debate. I do love the line, however, by John Adams, speaking about the plight of Cinque, quote, "This man is black. We can all see that. But can we also see as easily that which is equally true, that he is the only true hero in this room? Now, if he were white, he wouldn't be standing before this court fighting for his life. If he were white and his enslavers were British, he wouldn't be standing, so heavy the weight of the medals and honors we would bestow upon him." It's a brilliant encapsulation of the attitudes towards black people at the time. Speaking more of John Adams, Anthony Hopkins in the role is easily the best performance in the film, and I do love the build-up of his character throughout, by constantly pleading for his help, making it all the more triumphant when he finally shows up at the end. I want to acknowledge the performance of Djimon Hounsou as well, having only 1 week to learn the Mende dialect in preparation for the film, yet delivers his lines with incredible confidence. He brings raw emotion to his performance and is truly a sympathetic figure, despite some of the atrocities he commits. With that said, one of the aspects of the film I didn't like was the introduction of most of our main cast. Spielberg normally has a knack for expertly introducing his characters in ways that are both impactful and efficient, but outside of Hopkins' John Adams, the rest of the cast are just sort of introduced in an early court scene and none of them are particularly memorable. A small thing I did find interesting is that 2 cast members were also on Spielberg's other 1997 film, The Lost World, those being Pete Postlethwaite and Arliss Howard. It was an interesting choice to not provide subtitles for significant portions of the African-speaking scenes. My guess is that this was done to help further that sense of unfamiliarity and foreignism between the white and black characters. I would say it was pretty effective, as Spielberg still ensured that you could roughly understand what they were talking about through context and body language. At this point in Spielberg's career, Amistad represents an overall trend towards more serious subject matter, steering away from his more adventurous roots. Looking ahead at his remaining filmography, Amistad is very much the start of his lean towards more adult themes. Overall, Amistad is a rock-solid film that effectively tells the story it sets out to tell without breaking any new ground as far as weight and emotion. It's carried by great performances and an intriguing true story, but ultimately doesn't achieve much more than that. It's almost fitting in a way that the middle of Spielberg's career would be met with the middle-of-the-road film. That concludes episode 17 of Directed by Steven Spielberg. A solid entry if I've ever seen one, making it nice and easy to score with a 7 out of 10. That places it in 13th place, below Close Encounters and above Always. And since we're at the halfway point in this series, I thought it'd be a good time to check in on our overall 17 films so far and look at their rankings. As you can see, Jurassic Park sits in first place with a perfect 10 out of 10, all the way down to the bottom with 1941 in last place with a 5.5 out of 10. The upcoming episode 18 is considered not only one of the best war films of all time, but one of the best films, period. And that film is, of course, the 1998 war epic Saving Private Ryan, starring Tom Hanks. An incredible film I have seen many times, but I'm looking forward to checking out once again for this series. Until then, I thank you all very much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.